how I think people in the Bay Area are starting to feel in regards to Kyle Shanahan. And for so long, he's gotten away with too much. And now that Trey Lance is here, Jimmy Garoppolo weighs everything on his shoulders. Whenever there's any blame going around, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo, especially because such a large body of the fan base wants the team to start Trey Lance. Anything he does wrong is magnified and it carries more weight. And you just stop looking at the head coach, which is who I always think you should look at first, especially when he's the same exact guy calling the plays.
Good point. That's a good point. Honestly, I mean, Vish on my channel said it yesterday. Like, Jimmy isn't starting himself. He didn't create the situation. This is Kyle's situation. And the way I look at it is like, compare it to the Rams. Let's say the Rams didn't do what they did. They didn't go after Stafford. Instead, they kept Goff and traded up for Lance and didn't play Lance. Over here in the Bay, we'd be laughing at them. Like, what are they doing? That doesn't make any sense. Make up your mind. Are you with Goff? Do you want to get away from Goff? That's not what they did. They just went after Stafford for better or worse. And it may not have been the best thing they could have done, but it seems to be working out pretty good right now. The Niners, like, I still don't exactly know what their plan is. And I think that's what fans' issue with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch is right now. Like, they're kind of lost. Like, what are you trying to do? It's hard to say.
No, and that's fair. And part of my frustration as a fan is it doesn't seem like Kyle Shanahan has any clue how to utilize both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. It was something we saw very quickly in the Raiders preseason game and something we saw in that first drive against the Lions. And this is something that I keep reiterating over and over is the situations when Trey Lance comes into the game doesn't make any sense to me. For example, that first Lions game when Jimmy Garoppolo is moving the ball. He's moving the ball. Why take him out there? And then when the Eagles game took place and Jimmy Garoppolo is struggling to move the ball, hey, maybe you need a spark. Now's a good time to utilize Trey Lance.
Right.
And Trey Lance should have been used more against the Packers. The first play he was in, he scored a touchdown. And part of my frustration with Kyle Shanahan, he's not a self-proclaimed offensive genius. That's something that people say around here. They give Kyle Shanahan his cute little nicknames and they ride or die with him.
His position coaches talk that way about him. I mean, he surrounds himself with people that look at him that way.
If it's 4th and 1 from the opponent's 49-yard line, you need to go for it if you're an offensive genius, especially with, let me read off these numbers. These are the numbers from the 49ers' first 3 drives, 6 plays, 16 yards that lasted 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Next drive, 3 plays, 9 yards, lasted 1 minute and 21 seconds. The next drive, Jimmy Garoppolo throws an interception on the very first play. You're finally moving the ball. You're finally starting to get into a rhythm offensively, and you decide to punt.
And you spent your first round pick on a 1 yard run special.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like,
on a short yardage special.
This is a team that has tons of talent at every single position on offense. And you're telling me, Mr. Offensive Genius, you can't pick up 1 freaking yard in a moment like that. You have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Jimmy Garoppolo is great at the quarterback sneak. Trey Lance is on the team for this reason to help out in situations like that. That's why you still have
Jimmy
Garoppolo.
The quarterback sneak? I mean, they gained like 80 yards on quarterback sneaks the week before.
It's been unbelievable. So that was just a maddening moment to me where it's like, okay, and the Packers scored a touchdown off that decision to go up 17-0 in that moment. And I have one more thing to add. Trent Cannon, if he does not return that ball 65+ yards, I would put money on it that Kyle Shanahan goes into halftime content down 17-0. Against the Eagles, that's basically what he did. If you look at the
that's
play
what kickstarted the Niners, right? Trent Cannon.
Yeah, Trent Cannon. And that was in my Studs and Duds column this past week. That play alone put the 49ers in position to read that. Take a look at it. It's on the All 49ers SI, Twitter page, the website, my Twitter.
Nick's been writing there longer than me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But hey, that's the facts, though, is that Trent Cannon, if that play does not take place, then the 49ers, I don't think they score a touchdown there. And the reason I say that, looking at the Eagles game and the way the sense of urgency and the way it looked early on, Kyle Shanahan was not trying to score a touchdown on that drive. It wasn't until Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo bailed him out with that 40-yard pass. And that was included in my post-game rant. And it was the same thing, the way he approached the 2-minute drill in the Super Bowl. There wasn't a lot of criticism in regards to that. From very select few people will acknowledge that he went about that totally wrong. Should have been more aggressive going up against the Chiefs. So I'm fed up of the free pass Kyle Shanahan. I'm locked in. I'm gunning him down because it's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. You know who Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's the quarterback he's always been. And if you have an average NFL quarterback to maybe slightly above average when he's on, you have to hold him to a lower standard, in my opinion, than the head coach, who is the offensive genius. Shanahan's the one underperforming, not Garoppolo.
I agree. So I think real quick, before we move on, I think the question on every 49ers fan's minds is, what the hell is going on with Kyle Shanahan? Where is his head? Because no one can really figure it out. All of a sudden, it's the biggest mystery. And I got a conspiracy theory here, okay? I think he wants to make the transition to Trey Lance, but he can't figure out how. He has not figured out how to make the transition. And so in this game, when Jimmy comes out cold, he's thinking, well, maybe I can make the move at halftime. But it's going to have to be bad. We're going to have to be down 17-0, you know? And so at midfield, instead of trying to give Jimmy some momentum, he shuts it down. And the only reason they didn't have 0 points at halftime is Trenton Cannon. Trenton Cannon was, the banana in the tailpipe. I'm just saying, maybe Kyle's trying to figure, hey, it's bad. If it's real bad at halftime, I can make the switch. I would imagine he would like to make a switch at some point, but how? It's hard. It's really hard when the team doesn't want you to, and the fans don't want you to, and you're 2-1.
I hear you. And when I think the time is to make the move, it's tough. I've been consistent with this until you start losing games solely because of Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not the sole reason the team is coming out slow in the beginning of these first halves. There's been very questionable play calling. The first half against the Eagles, the first half, no run game, which is another huge issue. And you have all the people that say, oh, it's Kyle Shanahan. Just put in any running back in his system and they'll succeed.
Put in Nick, put in Grant. They'll run for 100 yards.
Exactly. And from what I've seen of Trent Sermon, he did not impress me against the Chiefs. Of course, his one touch last week, he was the 3rd-round pick. He didn't get in until the 4th quarter with 5 minutes left, and God bless his soul, got obliterated on that one hit. I'm surprised that he played this week, but he doesn't strike me as a guy that can take those outside zone pitches and do something with it and pick up serious yards like we've seen from Matt Breida over the years. Go ahead.
He's a big Tevin Coleman.
Yes.
He's trying because let me be specific. He's trying to cut back behind the center, which is fine, but their best blocker is George Kittle. So you might want to get to the perimeter, but he can't. So he's a big Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I am. And so I wasn't a fan of the play callings to try to get him going to the outside. Those are plays where you have quick, explosive players like Trent Cannon. I wouldn't mind seeing Trent Cannon in that hasty role where use your explosiveness to go pick up yards like that. So this all circles. The play calling was maddening.
Also, 0 carries for Cannon. 0 carries for Kerryon Johnson. What did Sermon do that made you feel like you didn't want to give anyone else a look? And this is my thing with Kyle. It's like a symptom of arrogance. But instead of being the kind of person who's like, you know what? I don't know who my best running back is coming into this game. I'm going to give everyone a look and see what happens. He's like, I know. It's Sermon. I just know. And even though Sermon goes out there and has like a stinker of a game, you ask him after the game, well, why didn't you play anyone else? He's like, well, because, this is I know. Like that's the way. I already know. Dude, you don't know. No one knows. You can't tell the future. Allow yourself to actually react to evidence. And that's my thing with him. Like so many times, he didn't let Trey Lance really compete this year. He didn't let anyone else get a touch in this game at running back besides Trey Sermon. Like, come on. Stop thinking you know what's going to happen. Just lay back and observe. Smart people do that. You're allowed to do that.
I think, of course, and I think part of that is with it as well is he saw an opportunity to try to justify his 3rd-round pick, make him look good. Because what happens if all of a sudden Jaquez Patrick and Trent Cannon and Kerryon Johnson come in and outperform Trey Sermon?
Not good.
The front office and the decision making in the 2nd and 3rd round of the draft already looks bad. bad. Aaron Banks wasn't in uniform for the third consecutive week. Ambry Thomas, you are so thin at cornerback right now, and he can't get on the field. You have to bring back Dante Johnson every single year.
Buster
And
Screen. Dude.
Yeah. And
you're right, man.
And here's the thing with Shanahan. I don't want people to confuse my criticism towards him and everything that I critique him on for thinking he should be replaced, because I still do feel like he is the best man for the job. Who's going to come in here and do a better job than Kyle Shanahan? But I do think
also
a lot of
week
people
4.
need to step back.
We're not even there yet, and they're 2-1.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's fair to look. We're having we're all quality control at heart, and we're just trying to get the best out of this team. It's okay. We just want the best out of this team. And it's fair to say, look, let's not just dump on the quarterback every week. Let's be a little more analytical. And I'm right there with you, Nick.
Yeah, it pretty much is as simple as that. It's just gone on for too long, starting with the Super Bowl, where Shanahan
bear a ton of responsibility for that.
Yeah, of course.
Ton of responsibility.
Of course. And again, it does seem in the Bay Area that Shanahan, people are starting to recognize what you've been bringing to the attention to the 49er public all year following, what I've been mentioning over the years. I'm not a Kyle Shanahan fan. I saw that poll. I
just tweeted out, are you losing confidence in the Shanahan-Lynch brain trust? And it's 50-50 right now, which is fascinating. Like before the season, it would have been like 95-5.
So here's one more thing, and here's my kind of conspiracy here.
Yeah.
With the fans that are so pro Trey Lance, all the pro Trey Lance, the ones that feel like he should be starting right now, are also pro keeping Kyle, or not keeping Kyle Shanahan, because you are going to keep him regardless, but they're huge advocates for him as well. Here's my theory that the 49ers were deprived of a competent head coach for 2 years, right, with Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly. So when Kyle Shanahan came along, who was an offensive genius, is like, oh my gosh, this guy has a clue. At least he has a clue.
Yes.
And now Jimmy Garoppolo, people have been so frustrated with his performance in certain situations. Here comes a new shiny toy in Trey Lance who can do things that Jimmy Garoppolo can't do. It's like, okay, Trey Lance, let's get so excited over him. Maybe Kyle Shanahan is not who we think he is, and what we're seeing from right here is his true self. It's possible. There's been so many mistakes and just so many things that he's gotten away with over the years that maybe we got to stop making excuses for him and call him out what he is. I'm not ready to say that yet, because I do feel like he's been dealt a bad hand. How much of that is on him, though? I don't know what goes on in training camp and every single preseason game, that players get hurt under him every single year. It's fascinating. I don't know.
Nick, hold on. Let me follow up with that. So you're saying he's showing his true self. How would you describe his true self? I mean, it's fair to say it's year 5. Niner fans know Kyle Shanahan very well at this point. How would you describe Kyle's true self? This
is not going to sit well with 49er fans, and I'm going to compare how I'm starting to feel about Kyle Shanahan towards Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, I know what I'm getting out of him. The only thing consistent about him is that he's inconsistent. You're going to have the highs, you're going to have the lows, and you live with it. Yeah. How I'm starting to feel about Kyle Shanahan is that he's going to call the great plays, and he's going to, from the majority of the time, more so than he's not, he's going to call the right things, pull the right strings, and then he's going to have the critical brain farts in certain situations.
Brain farts is the brain
exactly. And the only difference between how I view those two and why I'm not more frustrated or critical towards Garoppolo as I am Kyle Shanahan is because the way Kyle Shanahan is perceived by the majority of the public, the majority of 49er fans, of being this unbelievable genius who can't pick up a single freaking yard on 4th and 1 and doesn't have the confidence to do so.
Also, another thing, where are the big plays in his offense? A lot of people will say, well, Jimmy is the limiting factor. You can't have big plays in the passing game with Jimmy. Okay, fine. They have to be yards after the catch. Fine. What about in the running game? Where is the freaking running game? I thought it was all about blocking and scheme and Kittle and Williams and McGlinchey. This running game is like 3 yards a carry the last 2 weeks. All you got to do is play a 3-4 defense and put 5 on the line, and that's it. You're out. What is that? Okay, so the book's out on you guys. You got to – after the game, people were asking Kittle and Juszczyk about the running game, and they're like, yeah, man, that front was really giving us problems. Kyle and Mike McDaniel are going to have to find answers. Like, what? They didn't find answers? That's disheartening. I thought they would know. I mean, I thought they were the best. I'm just saying.
Yeah, what was frustrating about that game is the 49ers looked like the team that were starting backup offensive linemen and defensive. Remember, the Packers were missing Zadarius Smith.
Right.
Which team looked like the team that was missing key players? It was not the Packers, even though they actually were. And the 49ers just got dominated at the point of attack. I thought after the Jimmy Garoppolo interception, the defense turned down their physicality a little bit. After that interception, I do want to say they got a 4th and 1 stop, but guys were blowing by Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward picking up 5-6 extra yards.